Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. We're going to dive right into the energy, the post-eclipse energy. I just straight up meditated all the way through it, and I've never done that before. And it's already had kind of a really interesting impact. I was reading this morning. I read every morning. And I was reading this morning, and all of a sudden I started having these thoughts about gosh, our minds are so powerful. We can read, and someone invented these letters, and then these letters made words, and these words make sentences, and this came from someone's imagination because it was like a fiction book. And I just was like, I don't know, it felt like my mind was being blown. So I don't know what, I do feel like it's somehow related to the energy around your reading. But I'm not sure how that could be, but it's just another one of those things, like when we let ourselves go, into the energy of really feeling the miracle of our own existence, right? And I don't know, you guys probably weren't expecting this morning, but when we do let ourselves do this, wow, powerful energy. When we let ourselves, feel it and really become, one with that energy, or just be in the flow of it, or acknowledge it, or take a moment to just be consciously aware of it in our lives, right? We can, it's like there's no end to the miracles that you can see. There's no end to the energy that you tap into that is just kind of mind-blowing. I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, I don't know, love can make you do that. Love can make you feel that way. So I'm just it feels kind of revelation-y. You have fear and loss coming out here. These came out together. It's interesting because where we put our energy, what we put our focus on, that's where our energy flows. And when we give a lot of energy to fear, we have a tendency to experience it, our fears, and to kind of have perpetually, that kind of energy signature in our life, or the evidence that, we are in fear-based thinking or a scarcity mindset. It shows up kind of all over the place. And I do feel, you see that sun kind of coming out behind this boat with this man who is tethered to this mooring. I don't even know if that is a mooring. I don't even know where that word came from. That is absolutely, utterly bizarre. But whatever this is, like a boat hitch. This man is, if somebody is watching this and knows what the word for that is, if you could put that in the comments, I would be really grateful. Sometimes things make your brain hurt, but this is giving me a very profound energy. Who has the shackles in their card? The devil. This is when we are tied to our lower vibrational tendencies, like fear. And, it prevents us from going after what we want. The sun is always our happiness. The sun is always healing. The sun is always clarity. The sun represents, happiness. And, this energy is holding this person back, or preventing this person, possibly from being able to go after what they want, possibly from being able to come to a place of peace mentally. Whenever I see a boat, I think of the Six of Swords, right? This fear caused some kind of loss for this person, and there is some awareness of it. Now there is some, okay, you know what? It was my fear that prevented me from going after what I wanted or from coming to a place of peace with my thoughts. You know, my mind was very loud, or my ego, you know, kept me in this place of, you know, feeling like I needed to stay safe. This is, you know, that quote that I feel like I say this like every day, but, you know, ships in the harbor are safe, but that's not what ships are built for. And I mean, that's exactly what this looks like to me. Okay. For some of you, we're talking about someone that you work with, or that you have a career in common with, or that there is some kind of, I want to say like, tie related to something that you do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clarify this. There's definitely a message here. I also feel the energy of someone that wants to help or protect. This could be a romantic interest, or it could actually be that you need help with something, like a mortgage or a loan, or legal advice. This is someone that puts your fear aside. This is someone who has clarity, someone who knows. For some of you, you haven't met this person yet. What is this? It's, you know, I don't believe it's a member of your family. I'll say that. But this is someone who comes into your life to, they're ready to take up your cause and put your fears aside. So, you know, for some of you, this is, you know, is someone in a position that can help you, that either has the knowledge or the clarity that you need. It can be someone who is, you know, kind of, you're coming to them and telling them what your fears are, and they're saying to you, oh, that we don't need to worry about that. I can help you. I can fix this. For some of you, you could even be dealing with someone who's potentially going through a divorce, or I am getting like legal energy here. I keep also getting this feeling of just, you know, there are just those people in this world that want to protect and educate and heal and help. And that's what this energy feels like. And it does feel like someone who could be speaking to you from a place of experience. For a lot of you, you have not come into contact with this person yet. If you're going through something here that, and this could be related to a relationship, or it could not be. You know, this could even be the person you're dealing with in a relationship, or it could not be. But I feel there is an energy or a person that's coming into a certain situation that is going to shed light from a space of experience. And there is a level of respect, but that we have, or that we hold for this person. And sometimes that can be, and I am seeing like a framed diploma. So sometimes that can be from a space of like, you know, when you go to your doctor's office, or maybe a lawyer's office, or even your haircut place, or whatever, they have like their license or their diploma like framed. Even the yoga studio sometimes. You know, there's just an energy of like, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. like it's different coming from this person. With this energy in reverse, it's giving me like, you're not telling me this because you care about me and you're trying to soften a blow, or you're trying to just make me feel better. It's like you don't have any reason to do that, or you're not doing it out of some sense of duty or obligation. But there is this real feeling of, you know, I'm taking up this cause, like I want to protect you. I want to and I have what it takes. I'm seeing it clearly, and I have the education, or I know what needs to be done, either from experience or from some kind of degree. But it doesn't really matter if it's experience or education here. It's like, whatever it is, it's enough for you to respect it. It's enough for you to go, whew, okay, I can put this in your hands. This moon card energy is giving me kind of like a more of a divine feminine energy, where like it's okay to need help, or it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get help sometimes. It's okay to be on the receiving end of something. And, you know, sometimes like that is the hardest thing for us, is to admit that we need help or to get help. So whatever the case may be around this, I think it's happening. I just also got the energy of like patent law, like getting a patent. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever watched the show Gilded Age, but one of the characters in there has to go to a patent law. I just literally saw his face and his invention. So I don't know what that's about. Very rare thing that is, but I will say maybe it's more that the invention was a clock, or a part of a clock, something that kept time. I don't know what part of that could be important, but it is, because it came to me just now, very strongly actually. So, you know, take it as it resonates. Well, and we did just have that eclipse, so time and the moon could be now, like someone that you've needed to come in, or something that you've needed to have resolved, or, you know, some like maybe you were trying to do something on your own, and now it's like you're finding out that you're safe. I'm also getting, is that Allstate insurance? You're in good hands with Allstate. You're in good hands with this person. It's safe. Like you can be at peace. I'm not sure, but this really does feel important. It may just be like a few of you's message. It may not resonate with everyone, but it's like the cavalry is coming, you know, you're gonna be okay. And then you have the angel of four directions, and this represents Archangel Uriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, and Archangel Gabriel. This is talking about that like a powerful connection is coming into your life at this time. Something is happening around an important, powerful connection. Can be, definitely could be love. It can also be related to work, especially if you're working on a creative project. It can also be getting a powerful new idea on an old issue that has been kind of plaguing you or bothering you or in the back of your mind. It's like all of a sudden the answer can come. And it is about a helpful person. It can be about, you know, somebody who's just very helpful. This is okay. Now I'm picking up on another energy, and that is letting someone lead, even in a relationship. And for some of you, this is an intimate relationship where, you know, it's like, okay, I'm just going to trust you. You know, I know that when I have tried to control a situation, or when I've tried to make something happen, or when I've taken this approach or that approach, it hasn't worked. But it's like, if I just like either it's going to work or it's not going to work. But if I just put all of my faith in possibly even the universe, or even maybe in those archangels, or if you have a particular archangel that really resonates with you. I associate Michael with protection and Raphael with like love and relationships. But Uriel helps solve problems, you know? Actually, Gabriel, isn't that, maybe that's relationships. So weird. I just saw a cherub, like a fresco, like you would see in the Vatican or something, cherub. Which I think, didn't Raphael the painter paint a lot of the Vatican? I don't know, guys, I have no clue. Anyway, this is what I'm getting, okay? And then you have travel. And this is like coming back to this relationship, letting someone lead. You know, this is feeling to me a bit like, for some of you, someone who's letting their fear hold them back. This is more of a past energy, that they're letting their fear hold them back, and they're watching this get away from them, and they're realizing this is their happiness. And then they may get some advice from someone that they respect, or someone that gives them insight that helps them you know, I'm getting it, like it appeals to the logical mind part of them, space of them. And then they're getting this help from the angels that is like almost like informing them, or it does feel like this revelation of like, this could be the one. This could be, you know, it for you. Or it's like giving me Empress Emperor energy, where it's like they're being spiritually guided, even maybe led through their dreams or through signs and synchronicities, whatever, to kind of have some kind of revelatory energy that like this connection is important. You can't just let it get away. And that their thinking mind is being appealed to, and their feeling spiritual side is being appealed to. They may be literally at a distance and have like, there may be travel required. It could be that there something is long distance or becoming long distance, and maybe there's fear around that this would be very literal, okay? But it can also be like someone's getting away emotionally, or time can be distance, emotion can be distance, you know, the connection can be distant, you know? And it's like there may be an important conversation with a friend or with a professional that makes this person, that puts an idea in this person's head that is like, you know, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to kind of be in the feminine energy. It's okay to receive. And it's being really backed up spiritually for this person. And now they may be making a move to change something here. Let's see. For Pisces, please, Spirit. Yes, something is changing. Woo, something is changing. You know how I was talking to you guys about how I was reading the book this morning, and I was like, wow, letters, words. It's causing this person to look at everyday things in it's like almost like a romanticized fashion, or in a way of which, you know, it's like nothing looks the same to them anymore. Love can do that to you. Love can do that to you. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. You know, you have this anxiety energy, and it's really taking me right back here, but it's on the bottom of the deck. And it's interesting, you know, what was I thinking of? The internet. I'm telling you, man. Woo. I was thinking about the internet and how it can be like, I was thinking about how kind of sad social media is. You know, the suicide rate has gone up in the younger people. And just they're dealing with a whole host of things. Like, I can't even understand what my grandchildren are going to go through. I can't even comprehend it because I didn't have those, I wasn't dealing with the same kind of things, you know? And I remember, like, when I was a kid, Adam Walsh was kidnapped, and that was like, I feel like, I don't know, because that's when I was maybe coming of an age of becoming aware. But after that, my mom, she wouldn't let us out of her sight at the mall. Like, we used to hide in clothes racks and like be ridiculous. And it was like, all of a sudden, like, no, we had to hold hands. We had to stand next to her. It was like, where are you? Blah, 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 you know. And she would get so angry if she couldn't find us, where, like, you know, days before it was like no big deal, you know. And it was like quite an adjustment. And we knew that was a big deal. And we knew that that was really bad and awful what happened to Adam Walsh. And it kind of changed our childhood. And then it was like, you know, we were free to kind of play outside. And, you know, then it was kind of, I used to ride my bike around the block all the time. And then I got limited to my street. Stuff like that, you know. And I lived in a very safe place. And so, you know, things started changing, and, you know, it seems like every generation sort of has that. And I think the internet has really changed that. And, you know, there's always shadow and light with everything, right? And, like, it's so sad that, like, you know, kids have this added pressure of social media, you know, relationships have this added pressure of social media. People use the internet for bad stuff, you know, all the time. But there's also something so beautiful. You know, we have access to so much information. I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube. I mean, I just think YouTube is incredible. You can learn anything. You have access to, like, incredible, masterful teachers on YouTube. It's really remarkable what we have access to. And not just that, but, like, corners of the world that were once really secluded and, you know, cut off from other parts of the world now have access to things. Even if it's limited, they still have access to things. You know, they're still connected in a deeper, richer way. And, you know, so there is light to that. And this anxiety and this fear, you know, just like everything, there is shadow and light to it. And the anxiety and the fear piece, it's really giving me, like, you know, sometimes we're afraid to let go of our safety. But then that same fear that makes us kind of stay stuck also is the same fear that inspires us eventually to move. And, you know, because then it's the fear of this getting away from us, the fear of our happiness slipping away. Bubba Roo. Hey, Bhakti, what are you looking at? Oh. He's going to get upset for a second. Bhakti, you did a good job. Come here, handsome. Sorry. So that same fear is the same thing that urges us to move. And so it's like maybe we have already experienced the shadow of someone else's fear, and now maybe we're going to experience the light. Like, there's a shift in the placement of fear. And it's like, what are you most afraid of? Are you more afraid of, you know, being vulnerable, or are you more afraid of losing any chance at happiness? You see what I'm saying? And so this could be revelatory, and this could be coming through this message could be coming through on 2 levels, in 2 ways. You have this children and you have this divine timing. And I literally just finished a book about this woman who had endometriosis and fibroid cysts, and her trying to get pregnant and everything. And then she ended up getting pregnant, which was a highly unlikely prospect for her. But anyway, the thing is, and I'm not going to say what book it is because I'm not trying to ruin the whole book, which I just did. And so, but anyway, this is giving me, you know, I am just tapped in so hardcore to like miraculous energy, really and truly. Like everywhere I'm looking right now, everything I'm seeing, like just yesterday, a friend sent me an article about a 15-year-old who passed away in Italy, who used the internet to do really good things, and is now like in the process of becoming a saint, like the youngest saint, or, you know, like this generation saint. And people come from all over to visit the resting place of this young boy who passed away. And there have already been miracles and stuff attributed to it. This is the stuff that I love about the Catholic faith, because I really do feel like faith can move mountains and prayer can move mountains, and that we just are so limited in our knowledge of what we're capable of. But anyway, yeah, like everywhere I turn, everything people are sending me, everything, it's just all so miraculous. So I don't know what, I just feel like that's sort of this time. But I also think, you know, like that's the frequency I'm in too. But the thing is, you have this children and this divine timing. And both of the things that I just told you involve miracles. And so, you know, and also a song hit me this morning. Oh God, it was about, oh my Lord, love kind of having its own time. Like it doesn't come on time. I knew the song too. But anyway, that's all I can tell you. And so that song also came to me, and now I'm seeing this. This can be someone who wants to have children or hopes to have children, who may feel like their time is running out of having children, who is now finding someone to have a child with, or maybe is finding someone who already has a child, a pre-existing child. It doesn't have to be that. There's also, you know, whenever I see this child card, I do get this energy of inner child wounding that sometimes we're not ready to deal with, that eventually a time comes when it's not so hard, or it doesn't seem so huge or so restrictive or so bad, or we just get to a place in our life where we're able to sit with some pain that we couldn't sit with our entire life. And we're able to just sort of let it go. We're able to process it, or we're able to even just say, you know, to even extend our own compassion and our own kindness to our own inner child, and, you know, tell that inner child what that inner child needs to know, and kind of heal that way. But there's definitely something that is coming together, and it may be multiple aspects of something at the same time, where it's just like, oh my gosh, you know, it feels kind of miraculous, or it feels maybe even like a storybook that was written, you know, where it was planned from the beginning what would happen, but, you know, it didn't feel that way the whole time you're going along, not knowing what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like as you're living it forward, it makes no sense, but then in the end, you're like, wow, holy crap, did everything just fall into place? Do you know what I mean? And again, I am getting a timing energy around this. Could be, you know, related to this eclipse. But then you have reflection and grounding. And, you know, especially with the reflection card, looking at the children card, you know, this really is just, it's giving me that whole living it forward. It made no sense. But now that I look back on it, man, does it just, it makes perfect sense. Like it couldn't, the puzzle pieces could not have gone together any other way and made as much sense. And with grounding, you know, when you are tied up in a high level frequency energy of like everything is a miracle, you know, or, you know, and also it is what we're looking for, what we're seeing, you know, staying grounded and centered and holding on to things like ritual, routine, those kind of things. It is important, you know, to stay rooted, to stay grounded, and to not lose ourselves in the moment and lose our grip, our sense of reality, and sort of then have a different problem, which is having to recover ourselves, you know? So, okay, let me keep going. Do you guys ever like just have those thoughts? They're kind of weird, but where you, I mean, really, I do think it is just our consciousness reminding us how incredible we are and how powerful we are. I mean, when do we really think about how amazing it is that we can read and that we can read and write and that we can communicate with one another pretty effectively? I mean, I get upset with the human language. Hey, because it's so limiting. Bubba, you're just wound up. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah, ants. If you guys knew how cute he was when he does that. Oh man, oh man. Come here, Bubba. See, someone's having a revelation. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I just don't even know. But there you go. There it is right there for you to see for yourself in English. You have divine intervention with this chaotic energy, and you have choice with blocked energy, and then you have awakening. Again, you know, there was a choice, I feel like, for this person to choose their own happiness, and they were stuck in a fear-based mentality or some kind of scarcity mindset that blocked them from making the choice that they really wanted to make at the time. I think that their mind was a bit chaotic. It was very confused. You know, it was, you know, I think intuitively, even if we all have an intuition and our intuition is constantly sending us messages, but not everyone listens, right? And we're not all prioritizing that intuitive voice. And so sometimes it can sort of feel like everything is overwhelming, or even we can just begin to focus on the material world, and there's so little that we have control over, and there's so little that we know how it's going to play out or how it's going to turn out or what's going to happen, that sometimes it can feel very chaotic. Even if we live a very routine life, even if we, you know, kind of have the same, we just do the same thing and it all feels relatively secure. Everything in life is constantly and always changing. And so even if, like, let's say I have a routine where I get up and I have coffee and then I go to work and then I work my shift and then I come home and then I eat dinner and then maybe I, you know, work out or whatever and then I go to bed, or I watch TV and then I go to bed, or whatever it is. You know, even within that routine, you know, you can, let's say, get in a traffic jam or be on the subway and the subway stops, you know, or you can have really super inclement weather coming towards you and have unexpected, you know, like a tornado or a hurricane or, you know, a snowstorm, or, you know, we cannot, there's so much we can't control. There's always this element of chaos that just exists in this experience. And, you know, sometimes we can really give into it. And sometimes it's not even present, but we're giving into the what if of it. What if that happened? You know, what if, you know, like all of a sudden that the river that runs by my house flooded? What would happen? And then it can actually take us to a place, you know, our body doesn't know the difference between, you know, our thoughts of what if and reality. And so, you know, our body can start to even respond to something as if it is already happening or if it is actually happening. even when it's not. And so we can put ourselves almost into these, like, I want to say false places, but you know, the devil, which I'm strongly getting with that man tied to the moor or whatever it is. What is that called? It hurts my brain to think about it. Please put it if you know what that is. Here's the thing. There's an element of illusion that's involved in it. You know, there's an element of, it doesn't even have to be real or true or a direct threat for it to create this chaos in our mind. You know, and sometimes the more we cling to a routine in order to try to have safety or security in our life, the more it throws our mind into chaos. And, you know, when you're busy and you're dealing with what's in front of you and you kind of constantly have stimulation happening external to you, your mind doesn't have the opportunity to sweep you away into the what ifs and the shouldas and the couldas. But when you're idle, you know, what is that? Oh my God, my grandma used to say this saying, like, idle hands are the devil's workshop or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, and she didn't really say stuff like that. But yeah, the thing is, there is this divine intervention, and you can see it happen right here. Where it's like sometimes then exactly what you need comes in, you know, the exact advice you need comes in. I can't tell you how many times I've sat next to someone on an airplane and we've ended up just divulging extremely intimate and vulnerable things about ourselves to one another, and that I have gotten incredible help and guidance from perfect strangers, from totally different walks of life, from totally different parts of the country and even the world. And, you know, it's made everything kind of make sense. You can feel completely unwound after a thing like that. And it feels like there is this divine intervention in the form of someone coming in and real true spiritual guidance that's leading to something making a lot of sense and some kind of serious awakening here. Or it is like a revelation. That's what I get. It's like a revelation type energy. All right, let me I rarely use this deck, but I have to tell you, I really love it. It's very intuitively, you know, driven, I feel like. I think it's called the Spolita Tarot. I'm not sure. Yeah, damn. Look at this. I mean, holy moly. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Whew. Okay, well, you got the 8 of Swords with the King of Swords. And then you have the 5 of Swords with the 6 of Coins. And then you have the 4 of Coins on the bottom of the deck. You know, I feel like this is where we meet our person here in the beginning. There is this, you know how sometimes, and we meet people like this all the time, you can't really have a conversation with them, or you can't really convince them of anything other than what they already think, because they think they're right, and they think that they, you know, they're really just not even, they're not even really open to embracing another perspective. You know, you can give them another perspective, but it's like they're listening to you only to have a comeback argument, or, you know, to show you how they're right. They're not budgeable. Like, you know, I kind of get that with this person. It's like they may even sort of be knowing this about themselves, but, or like kind of knowing that they kind of go in circles around the same thought, or they have the same thought and then it always leads them back to the same place. They may even recognize this about themselves. They may even recognize that, but I don't see them seeing that as a bad thing. I see them seeing that as, oh, I must be right, because every time I think this, it only leads me back to this place. So you have this King of Swords, and the sword is pointed down again. And you see with the Eight of Swords, they're pointed down, and with this Five of Swords, they're pointed in all different directions, but the strongest energy is pointed straight down. But you do have one that is starting to go up here. This is like this person. It's like, you know, they may have a closed mind about, you know, relationships, or about, you know, it's sort of like, I've been down this road again before. I don't need to drain myself having this thought again, or questioning this, or asking myself this. You know, I've asked myself many times and I've always come up with the same answer, and that's my answer. You know, but I don't think it's serving their highest and best, because that sword is pointed down. So, and yeah, and then you have the Six of Coins with the Five of Swords, and like I said, that sword is also pointed down. And so this energy is telling me with the Six of Coins, there is this energy around equality or reciprocity or equal give and take, where this person has really self-defeating thoughts. They may not necessarily believe that relationships can be mutual or can be mutually beneficial. It causes this person to hold back. It causes this person to be emotionally unavailable. And I do think that this is based on some kind of, like, a lot of experience in imbalanced relationships or imbalanced situations. Our first imbalanced relationship is, you know, as a child with our parents. And we do have this children energy here, you know, because we need our parents for survival. When you need something for survival, there can be no balance in it. This is important. That what I just said is important. Either this person feels that they can't open up to have a relationship where they rely on someone, or they need someone for survival, or they're an avoidant and they feel like everyone needs them for survival, and it always takes more than it gives, and they're protecting themselves from that energy. All right. Yeah, so this couldn't be more clear. You have the Six of Swords on the bottom of the deck, and do you notice that all the swords are pointing up? In the Rider-Waite deck, they're all pointing down, but do you see in this card, they're all pointed up? Incredible. I feel like that's confirmation. Here's what I'm going to say. This person, they have adopted a mindset where they can only rely on themselves, and that what they really want, their wish fulfillment, is just to feel secure and to feel safe and to feel, you know, abundant in their own right, to kind of be able to take care of themselves. And so everything that they do, every step that they take, everything, you know, they may not be the fastest moving energy, but they are very deliberate and very planned and very, you know, this is their measuring stick. You know, this is like their top priority. So when they're making decisions, this is what they're measuring them against. This is what they're asking themselves, like, you know, does this contribute to this energy or not? You know, is this going to take away from this energy, or is this going to add to this energy? Because I'm only taking steps in this direction. And then, so then you have the 10 of Pentacles. So we have the 9 here, and we have the 10 here. And what is the difference between the 9 and the 10? The 9 is something we have on our own by ourselves, and the 10 is something that we have that is shared, that is built together, that is built cooperatively. And, you know, this person doesn't believe in equality. So they feel that, like, to have the 10 of Pentacles, it would rely, like, almost solely on them, or it would always be imbalanced. It would always be, you know, in order to have this, like, they might as well just have it on their own terms, in their own way, on their own, rather than, you know, trying to invest in this when they really don't believe in the principle that this is based upon, which is we're both paying into this. We're both investing in this. But with the Six of Swords, with the swords up on the bottom of the deck, this person is having, their thoughts are changing. Their thoughts are, they're starting to, you go from the Five of Swords to the Six of Swords. Their thoughts are progressing into a place where I'm just not, what I'm hung up on here is that I'm not sure if it's like, well, it could still be worth it, even if I have to do, even if it is unequal, it could still be worth it. Or if they're actually starting to believe that that may not be the case, or, you know, that there may be an alternative way, or that it is possible to have this with another person. Maybe if the other person is also in the Nine of Pentacles. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. So either, just to clarify, either their thoughts around equality and reciprocity in relationships have shifted and changed, or are shifting and changing, to where they're starting to believe that it is possible, or their thoughts about whether or not they want this, or, you know, are capable of sort of having it, are shifting and changing. Like, even if it's not equal, even if it's not an equal partnership, it could still be worth it. Even if I'm giving 70 and they're giving 30, it could still be worth it. Like, maybe I want it. It could still be possible, even. Like, it doesn't have to be an equal give and take. Or maybe it isn't an equal give and take. Or, you know. This person has... Okay. I'm just going to say this is someone that has their guard up. It's not impossible to penetrate, you know, like they are sort of leaving space in between these wands so that, like, if you really wanted to get through, you could, but they aren't making it easy. They're not welcoming. They're not inviting you in. They're not like, you know, please come on in. I'm open and I'm vulnerable and I'm willing, you know, there is a guard up. But this is also the person that if you penetrate their guard, or if you kind of deal with their defenses or what they kind of throw up, they find it very difficult to let you go. Like they hold on to people. And there is something here with this Empress energy of, you know, when you are someone who has a lot of defenses, or, you know, like puts a lot of obstacle in the way, and someone is like, you know what, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep penetrating this. I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm just not giving up on you. There's almost this energy of, you must actually care about me, or you must actually really want me or desire me or see something in me, because why else would you go through all of that trouble for me? And I honestly feel like this is sort of shifting their idea of what's possible, because it's like, if you're willing to go through all of that just to sort of get to this vulnerable spot with me, like to penetrate my defenses. Remember, we've already seen the Four of Pentacles and now we're seeing the Nine of Wands. Like, this is a very guarded person. But it's not impossible. They don't make it impossible, you know? And so I feel it's almost like they want someone to crack their code. You know, they want someone to break through their defenses. You know, they're closed off, but they're not. It's not like impenetrable like Fort Knox. It's like I got my guard up. You know, it's going to take you some work and some effort to get through this. And this could be you, Pisces. This could be them. But it's kind of something that is like people who don't have the right intentions are immediately thrown off, you know? Like they're going to peel out right away because they already recognize it's too much work. Like they're not in it for that level of work, you know? They're in it for other things, you know? But like the right one, the Empress, will crack the code. And when someone does crack the code, this person, they tell themselves, well, I'll make an offer, or, you know, that's going to be a solid and stable beginning, or that's how I'll know that this is a solid and stable opportunity, is that someone's not going to give up. Someone's going to be like, oh, you have your defenses up? Well, I have the exact thing needed to crack that code. Interesting. Wow, because yeah, you know, with the Four of Cups in reverse, clarifying the Empress, this person is tired of dealing with people who are apathetic or don't know their own feeling or their own mind or aren't sure about things or, you know, reject them for whatever reason. So it's like, let me just spare us all the trouble. You know, if you're stuck in a place of fear or you're not sure or whatever, like I have standards. I'm not even going to entertain you unless you're coming at me correct. And because I know what I want. I know what I want. And with the Star card, there's even I believe in fate. I believe in destiny. I believe that if it's meant to be for me, it's going to be for me. And if it's not, then there's a reason for that too. You know, it's, you know, I'm not, yeah, it's like, and if you don't like my defenses or if my defenses are too much for you, then okay, you're not the one. And the right one will come along or they won't. And I'm at peace with it. I don't know. You have the Devil here. This can be someone who in the past has, I don't want to say like gotten a bit obsessive or has kind of maybe even given in to their own insecurities or their own feeling that you have to kind of think that they're worthy, that you're worthy in order to, yeah, this person has gone through a huge healing cycle. Damn, look at that, see? You have the Devil on the bottom of the deck being clarified by the Three of Swords, the Eight of Cups with the Four of Swords on the bottom of the deck. Another progression. These progressions, all of these you've gotten so many progressions in your tarot card readings lately. You go from the Nine of Pentacles to the Ten of Pentacles. There was something else that we just saw. I can't remember what it was, but we did just see it. Five of Swords to the Six of Swords. And now here you have the Three of Swords to the Four of Swords. These are progressions. And this is really evidence that something is changing, something is progressing, something is moving forward, okay? And with the Devil being clarified by the Three of Swords and the Eight of Cups, you know, this can be self-sabotaging energy. This can be like, I walk away from things before they have the chance to hurt me. Or this can be, you know what, letting my fear be my guide, or you know, letting myself be kind of shackled to these lower vibrational tendencies of mine has only led to my suffering. And so I'm releasing them. I'm walking away from them. I'm no longer giving everything that I have to that energy. I'm not making decisions from that space. You know, remember this Devil energy, I totally got that here with our original Oracle energies that we're talking about fear and loss. And I really got that, like, this person could see their chance at happiness slipping away. And you have the Empress with the Four of Cups in reverse. It's like, here's someone who's sure about you. Here's someone who is showing up and who's like, oh, I got the key to crack that code. You know, there's also this, like, I'm not going to great lengths to prove it to you. I'm just letting you know I have the key to crack your code. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not thrown off by your defenses. You can have your defenses, go right ahead. But I am not apathetic, and I am not afraid of it. I'm not scared of it. I'm not giving into it. This double energy with the Four of Swords and the Three of Swords and the Eight of Cups, there is definitely an energy of like, I'm rising above it. I'm releasing the double energy, or I'm freeing myself from being tied to these lower vibrational tendencies. All of this energy is like, I'm healing and I'm walking away from the things that don't serve my highest and best. I'm walking away from the things that keep me tied to this lower vibrational energy. This can also then say that it's okay. So the universe hears you, the universe sees you, the universe is coming in with this Ace of Coins, like an opportunity for something solid and stable. Could be someone new. Could be a past person. We have the Queen of Swords with the Hangman with the Queen of Wands on the bottom of the deck. Whew, a lot of feminine energy here. We also have Piscean energy here. We also have Libra, Taurus, Capricorn. Aquarius. You know, we saw that Queen of Swords when we were clarifying that like helpful person. And I do, you know, it's interesting. You know, sometimes helpful people come into our life, right? And, you know, like, okay, let me just say it like this. I feel with the Queen of Swords and the Hangman, this can be someone external to us that comes into our life that gives us some piece of information that all of a sudden makes things make sense, or that give us a different perspective to look back on. You know, like, I was talking to a friend of mine about an uncle that she had who really didn't shower regularly. And she was telling me, like, we were just talking, I knew him as well. And she was saying, like, it bothered her all the time. She was just like, why can't he freaking take a shower? Like, it just grossed her out, you know, that he would have, like, greasy hair and stuff. I happen to know that he was in a lot of pain. He had a cyst that had like built walls out of all of his organs, and it caused him a lot of pain, and he was on a lot of medication that actually gave him poor circulation, and he was cold all the time. Like, we live in Florida, and this man wore like flannel jeans and like jeans lined with flannel and a flannel shirt, and Florida's hot. I mean, it is really hot here a lot of the time, and this man walked around like this, you know, even close to the summer months. But I never saw him without pants on and a long sleeve shirt. And I happen to know that his medication, we had this whole conversation about circulation and stuff. Well, actually, I sat with him when he was in the hospital. And he had poor circulation. So for him to like take his clothes off and get in a shower, and then get out of the shower and get really cold, being in pain and also being cold, that cold, he hated air conditioning. You know, it was hard for him. And I literally said that to her. I was like, did you not realize this? You know? And she was like, oh my gosh. You know, but she had been a kid at the time. So her perspective was just like, this is embarrassing. You're my uncle and you're walking around with greasy hair, you know? But he showed up, you know, and it was hard for him, you know what I mean? And so when I said that to her, you know, she actually texted me later and was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you told me that. She was like, I had no idea, and it has shifted my entire perspective of him. Of course, he's gone now. But, you know, the people can come into our life and say something where it like opens our eyes up to like some wholly different way of looking at things. And then when we look back on the past, and I could tell, I mean, this was like hours later that she texted me this. She'd been thinking about it all day, and she had little revelations all day about like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know what I mean? And we actually talked recently, and she was like, I still can't quite get over that. Like, that really shifted me. And she was like, I felt really bad that I felt that way. And I was like, you were a kid. Like, no one told you. Like, someone should have told you or could have told you. I hate saying should have. But maybe she didn't voice that that was embarrassing to her. I don't know. And maybe everybody else around her just knew it. I have no idea. I wasn't really like privy to that. But, it's like it's also not your fault sometimes for what you didn't know, is what I'm trying to say. And so, but then it's like what Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better, and it's kind of, that's what this is giving me, this vibe. And, it's like with the Queen of Wands, first of all, I'm hearing like lighting a fire under someone. But it's also, this is like major manifestation energy. And it's giving me like someone coming in and saying something that all of a sudden makes you understand that something was what you always wanted. It's like you didn't have the perspective or the vision to see it. So, this could be your person, Pisces, who's kind of having this revelation of going, oh my gosh, this is what I manifested. This is what I wanted. This is what I was asking for that came in, and I didn't see it. I didn't know. I didn't realize this was the Empress, because the Empress didn't come in full of fanfare and say, hey, look, I have the key to your heart. Come here while I open it up. The Empress said, I'm going to sit here and let you understand and see that I'm the Empress. I'm not going to try to prove my worth to you. That's beneath me. I'm just going to show you through my actions and, whatever. And the fact that I am not giving up, that I'm not apathetic, and that I'm not going anywhere, and that I'm not like all those other people. And it's like, maybe they didn't have the eyes to appreciate that, or it didn't come in the energy that they thought that it would, or that it was going to, or that, it showed up in. Oftentimes we think that love, when we meet the person we're meant to be with for the rest of our lives, like the ground shakes and our knees buckle. But Buddha says, no, that's not true. Like, that's not the person you spend the rest of your life with. Buddha says, it's you are fine when you meet this person. And so, sometimes when something doesn't come in an energy that we're hoping for or expecting, or that we're looking for, because that's what we've built it up to be in our head or our mind of what that looks like and what that feels like. We don't recognize it, right? I was just, I mean, I know, like, when I met my husband, I wasn't like, oh my God, the earth is shaking. Everyone told me, like, oh my God, have you met the new assistant manager? He's so tall, he's taller than you. Like, you got to meet him. They were trying to fix us up because we were both single. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I wasn't planning on staying where I was, like, all this stuff. And I met him, and I was like, oh, he is really cute. And it made me feel physically a type of way just to stand next to someone who was that much taller than me. There's not very many people I've met in my entire life, still to this day at 50, that are that much taller than me, as much taller than me as my husband. One of them happens to be my son. But, when I stand between both of them, I'm like, gosh, I'm so little. This is so crazy. It's such a funny feeling. But, other than that, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, my life has changed in this moment, even though I had no idea, I think looking back on that moment, I have more like electricity or more reaction to that moment than I did when I was in it. I was kind of nervous, but he was like also my boss. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that, it's like something didn't come in saying, it's like I'm seeing that picture that is Le Pipe or whatever, Le Pepe or whatever, where it's just what it is. Like, it just, it is what it is, and you're just kind of like, okay, you don't really have a reaction to it until you like think about it, and you're like, oh wow, that's kind of genius, in its own way. It's a different take on creativity for sure. But yeah, I don't know, things appear in our life, and sometimes we don't see them exactly for what they are. But this is the answer of a manifestation, and someone's only understanding that in retrospect, in looking back on it. They were blocked from, they didn't see it, they couldn't see it before. And I think they were too trapped by trapped by fear in order to connect with the feelings of it, or to like the, intuitive energy of it. Yeah, it's interesting. The response here from this person. You have the Knight of Wands with this Queen of Swords, where, it's like, I may have treated this like it was just, another thing that comes into my life, not, the Knight of Wands is like, oh, it's just another thing, there'll be another thing after this, like, I'm not really taking it seriously. I'm not like, oh, holy shit, that's the Empress. It's like my reaction or my response is sort of to treat it the way I've treated everything else, or to look at it sort of the same way. And it's not a serious way. It's kind of like, oh, something will come along and, make this pale in comparison, so I'm not really super invested. We still have that sword upside down above this Queen of Swords, right? And then with this Hangman, with the 10 of Swords, this energy is, in retrospect, when I'm able to really reflect and see what this was in my life, when the clarity actually hits me about what I was dealing with and my entire perspective changes, it allows me to close out what was a difficult cycle for me. When I think about my friend, I know just that she has hangups about people not showing up for her, not being chosen, not being loved. And I think her uncle loved the shit out of her. I know he did. And, he always showed up. And I think, when I said that to her, like, well, he was always in pain, and it was hard for him, that I think that was like, holy crap, I did have someone who cared. I had someone who showed up, even though it was at a great cost to them, like they were in pain. And she played sports, and he would come to quite a few, everything that he could go to, pretty much, I'm pretty sure he did. And, but she was embarrassed by his presence, so she didn't appreciate it. She didn't see it, and wow, I can't believe what a good example this is for what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think once she had that revelation, and that she had those revelations all day, I mean, she has really shifted, and opening up to the idea that that was different has kind of helped her to open up to the idea that it could have been different than the way she saw it, or other people could have also had their own stories, their own version of that I don't know, or that, you know what I mean? And so, it allows for this cycle of a way of thinking that was draining her and exhausting for her, to kind of keep this narrative going that I'm unlovable, nobody chooses me, nobody really shows up for me. I think it opened her up to the possibility that it really wasn't true. Well, it definitely did, because her uncle did choose her, and her uncle did show up for her, and her uncle did love her, and she did think she was lovable. And so it's closing out a cycle of a way of thinking. And I think it's that 8 of Swords, King of Swords energy that we saw in the beginning, where it's kind of like, my thoughts always bring me back to this, which she was very much like that. You could sit there and try to convince her that no, that wasn't the case. But it wasn't until I was having this very random conversation with her, and, told her that which was just complete happenstance, that she had this revelation. And that happens. That does happen in life quite frequently, really. If we let it, if we're open to it. And maybe I just caught her in a moment when she was open to it. But with the Three of Pentacles here, there is this underlying energy of cooperation, of like, wow, I was trying to share a vision with you. I was trying to share a plan with you. I wanted to cooperate. I want the same thing you want. I want the Ten of Pentacles. And I'm showing up in this energy where I share this vision. I share this plan with you. And I am trying to build this with you. I do want to build this with you. You know? and we didn't have the eyes to see it because we didn't treat it that way. We didn't approach it that way. We didn't show up in that energy. Very interesting. All right. This reading is getting very long, and I am just going to dive into the messages. And I hope that this reading brought you some peace and clarity. I think something is shifting in someone where they may have had a very closed mind, and something is breaking this cycle and setting them free. There's some clarity, there's some revelation, there may even be a conversation, they may even be being guided by the angels or spirit guides or whatever to opening and expanding their mind, or the way they're looking at something, or the way they're thinking about something. Like, I told her about her uncle, and then, you know, but you have to be open to that energy still. Like, just because you're going to have that conversation doesn't mean that you allow all the revelations to hit, but Spirit's going to give you those revelations. Spirit's going to remind you of different times, different moments with that person where, wow, you were really misreading it, or you didn't see something that was right there in front of you. And I think that's helping this person to close out a cycle that was really a big part of the problem here. And now they're getting ready to release their anxiety. They're closing some kind of distance here. If you're dealing with a water sign, I am making plans, daydreaming, no one else matters now, I don't want to let you down, and doubting. If you're dealing with a fire sign, triggered, cold, you are the one, distant, you changed my whole direction, and I don't care what people think anymore. And if you're dealing with an earth sign, guilt, excited, you hit me out of nowhere, your words speak to me like no others can, angry and indecisive. If you're dealing with an air sign, wait for me. The changes are real. Stuck. I am overthinking everything. Twin flames. And I can't stop thinking of you. All right, guys. This is what I have for you. I really hope that it helps. I hope it brought you some peace and clarity. Bask in this gorgeous eclipse energy. We're still in it for a few more days. And yeah, be open to the messages. Just be open. I'm really getting that. I think there are miracles everywhere. I think this is just one of those times where I just feel like anything is possible. Embrace the energy, make the most of it. This is what I have for you guys. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. All my best, always, always. Bye-bye.